Well, hello, everybody. This is Claudia Cooley, Rev-Up for Success Radio, broadcast through Raven International Broadcasting, which broadcasts to many, many countries, 40-some countries all over the world. So our message and our inspiration goes out, and we hope others are gathering it, catching it, and grabbing onto it. Today, I wanted to do something a little different, and I wanted to just be here with you, me with you. I'm kind of calling this Claudia Unplugged. And really, what I want to share with you today is something that keeps pressing in on me. I don't have a script today. I don't have an agenda. I better watch the time. But other than that, this 30 minutes with you, I want to share with you answers to questions you often ask me. When you meet me, when you see me, when we interact, have conversations, or you hear me speak, or you read my books. And it often is, how do you keep your cup more than half, overflowing, half full, overflowing? How do you do that through all the years of your life? And most of you know I'm in my 7th decade, heavily into my 7th decade. And I wanted to share how that has come about. It's not magic. It's not that I'm different than you. It's not that I have some special magic wand waved over me. It's not like I've had a blessed life and what we think of, that I've been prosperous, I've been wealthy, I've been treated like a queen. It's not any of that. But how do I keep my cup overflowing? And so I wanted to share my story with you today and hope that it inspires you. I hope you'll be patient with me, that I may stumble around, I might get a little emotional. But my story started when I was young, really young, like when I was born. I was the only child of my father and mother's union. They both had children before they married by somebody else, so I had half-sisters, all half-sisters. They didn't expect to have another child, and along comes Claudia. And I was this bundle of joy for them. And that was a special thing, to be born into that kind of love. And I know many of you haven't gotten to have that, but it comes to you in other ways through your life. So because I was this unexpected child, and there was 3 other girls in the family, and my mom and my dad kind of needed a sidekick, so I became his buddy. I was the little boy he hadn't gotten, and so I was his sidekick. So I spent a lot of time with my dad. He would take me fishing every Saturday. You might have heard me share this story because it's really a tender thing for me, a special thing. And one of my favorite pictures that I share when I'm speaking and I talk about it is my time that I spent every Saturday morning with my dad in Fairmount Park, fishing from the edge of the lake. And he was teaching me how to put worms on a hook so I wouldn't hurt the worms. He convinced me I wasn't hurting them, even though they wiggled. And I believed him. I loved my dad so much. I adored him. He became my best friend, and he inspired me. First thing that he did I can share with you is he always shared with me how special I was, how I had special gifts, and that I could do whatever I wanted to do, to not let anything ever hold me back. That was his belief in me. And we all need somebody like that. And you'll find them in your life over a period of time. If you didn't have that wonderful thing, that relationship I have with my dad. And my mom adored me too, but my mom wasn't as demonstrative. She wasn't as free-giving with her emotions, but my dad was. So I spent all this time with him. He owned a service station, and he would take me there during the week before I started school and share me with his friends, probably showing me off, probably had me doing tricks, I don't know. Anyway, but just this wonderful, loved, cherished feeling that was embedded in me. And we can do that for our kids and grandkids too, by the way, if we pay attention and set the intention. Anyway, I had that wonderful beginning, and I remember when I was 11, my dad died suddenly. His mother had lived in Wisconsin, and she was dying. He took a plane to Wisconsin and got this shortly after she passed away. And then when he returned, she died on a Tuesday. He returned on a Saturday morning. And by Saturday night, he was feeling some pain in his chest. Now, he hadn't been sick. He hadn't been diagnosed with any health issues, but he was overweight. And he came out to my mom and he said, I don't feel good. And back then, the doctors would come to your house. I remember Dr. Thomas. And she called him and he drove to our house and he checked my dad out. And he said, Cliff, you know, everything seems okay. Just come in on Monday and we'll do some checking out. And then he left, and then my dad got worse. And we didn't have a phone. I would have to run next door to the neighbors, which was a field between us and then her house. I mean, not a huge field, but a little distance. And then I would call, and I went and called the doctor again and came back, and she came back with me. And by this time, the doctor was had returned, and now my dad was in a serious state. And I'm holding his head in my arm, and the neighbor's trying to keep him from swallowing his tongue, and the doctor's probably doing CPR or something. I'm not really sure. And my mom was hysterical somewhere. My mom wasn't really well anyway, and I'm not sure where she was in the picture. Anyway, and he died. And I remember, you know, it was surreal, unbelievable. And in that moment, a lot of things ran through my mind, but nothing like anything that I would see coming in the near future. And as I started to exist in this new place of not having a father, it started to register different. I became different in my own little community, my school, my friends. I became the different one. And I remember the night he died. My older sisters were there, his two daughters. And they were married, had their own children, so they had their own families and homes. And I remember them saying to me, don't cry. You need to be strong for Mama. Mama, my mom, had raised them all through their teens, so she was their mom too. You have to be strong for Mama. So I took that on as my charge in life. And that's what I kind of did the rest of my life, which is no problem with that. I'm not bringing any sympathy for that, but that was just a charge that came to me in my life, being real responsible at 11. And then, you know, as I was going to school and stuff, and kids were treating me different and actually standing away from me. I don't think they knew what to say or what to do. And I remember feeling somewhat different at that point. But eventually, you know, I got past that, and I started reaching out to my friends. I remember I was 11, I was probably 6th grade, and I started reaching out to my friends, and they started inviting me over, and we would have sleepovers and stuff, and things started to go back to somewhat normal. And then the following year, when I was 12, I went to work because finances were bad. My mom wasn't well. Back then, insurance wasn't a big thing, so he didn't have life insurance. If he did, it was a small policy. It took care of, paid off some debts, I think, and his burial. But anyway, I felt lonely, so lonely, because he had been my best friend. That's where I spent Saturday mornings. That's where I spent different days of the week. He'd come home and we'd go out, and we lived on a half acre, and we always had some cows. He was always raising calves to butcher, and we had chickens, and we would go out and check the little farm. So my days were empty, and I missed him. I was so lonely for him, and my mom couldn't fill that spot. And then when I was 14, I shifted in from our small school in Grand Terrace, California. It was from kindergarten to 8th grade, a small school. I think we had 15 or 17 in our little graduating class, and shifted into Colton High, which had 2,500 kids. So a little lost there. But people befriended me, and some people that I'll always be grateful to invited me to church. I'd not been in church. I wasn't raised in church. And they invited me to come and hear, having an evangelist. I didn't know what an evangelist was, but come and hear this man speak. And so I went that one Sunday evening when I was 14. I believe it was in March of the year. And I walked in, and remember, I'm feeling really lonely for my dad. I really missed my best friend. And I go into this church. I never really heard any of the philosophy before, a little bit, you know, kind of thing here and there. People come through the neighborhood inviting you to go to Sunday school and that, but I really didn't know the reality of what going to church, having a faith in God. It wasn't about religion, but I didn't know anything about it. So I go into church that night, and this evangelist who had been in prison and actually injured in prison, so he became crippled into a wheelchair, and he's sharing these very words I'll never forget. He said, God can be your daddy. That was life-changing. That turned my life around, and it made the difference for the rest of my life. I went forward that night and gave my life to God, accepted the principles, accepted God as my daddy, and all the things that go with that. And whether you believe in those things or not doesn't matter. It's what I believed and how it's been my lighthouse, my guide, my focus. And people ask me all the time, where's my energy come from? Where's my positive attitude? Where's that all come from? This is where it comes from. That night when I said, God is my daddy, I took that on for truth. And all the rest of my life, when times get hard, I always know God is my daddy. And all I have to do is go to him, share my heart, and just ask for peace and joy. Joy is a big ticket. We talk about positive attitude. I was just sharing with a friend this morning, and she was sharing with me the difference in positive attitude and joy. And I believe that what God filled me up with that night when I said God is my daddy is he gave me joy and peace and a lot of things. But what he did was he put me on solid ground. And now I had a best friend again. So as I've gone through the years, I think, okay, what's the next step I came to? You know, you go through hard times. You know, my mom and I were struggling financially. I had to put cardboard in the bottom of my shoes so that the gravel wouldn't come in the holes of my shoes and, you know, scratch my feet. It'd be hard to walk on. And most of you know that I've been engaged in fashion for a lot of years. I've been an image consultant, instructor, personal and professional growth. I had a gig at Disney for several years, training there. And so image had a lot to do with it, you know, has a lot to do with what I present to others. But what I'm presenting to others is only what's on the outside. It's what's on the inside that really matters. And what I feel is important, and it brings that joy for me. And in that joy, and in that commitment I made to God that one night, as I've grown up and I've really found my purpose, what my purpose in life was, so I connected to that and then just kept stepping into that purpose. I knew if I'd step into my own purpose, I was in the right lane. I was on the right path. And you hear me talk about that a lot if you follow me at all. I'm always saying stay in your lane. That's where things show up for you. So I just keep knowing that if I keep stepping into my purpose, my joy was there. My passion is there. I get passionate. And you do too. You will too. As you walk in your own purpose, you get passionate. And I always say, when you can bring your purpose and passion, knit them together, and they get to work together, that's what makes you powerful. Why do we need to be powerful? I don't need to be powerful to go rule over some company, although that I'm open to that, but that's not what I'm about. But my power gives me the opportunity to make a difference in the world, to make a difference in the lives of other people, to make a difference in my own family, my own community. That's what the power is. Because when you live in your purpose, you're using your skills, your gifts that you were born with, which are unique to you, that make you special. Because all of you are special. I'm special. You're special. None of us are alike, thank goodness. And just to share a little thought on that, to kind of cement this in, a few weeks ago, I had my women leaders in sisterhood here in this wonderful environment. As you can see, this beautiful area. I had them here for a retreat. And we came together to let our hair down and just to be girls and not talk business or anything, just be who we are. And in that point, I had a big basket of apples. And I had everybody grab an apple. I had them look at their apple, get acquainted with their apple, be sure they really know their apple well. And then we put them back in the basket. And then a while later, I dumped those apples out onto the quilts. We had some wonderful antique quilts we were sitting out on the grass on the yard. It was really a wonderful day, wonderful experience. So I had them look for their apples. It's such a treasure when I do this. I love when I get to do this with people because now they know their apples. And they're fighting over, you have my apple. No, you have my apple. That's my apple. Well, but the little stem goes this way. Yeah, but look at the coloring over here. They were all different, and they all finally landed on their own apples and were satisfied that that was their apple, and they knew their apple. Now you have I didn't buy anything special apples. I bought a bag of apples and dumped them into a basket. Nothing unique about any of them, but there was something unique about every single one of them. And that's just how we are. We're born like those apples. We're part of nature, part of God's creation. And each one of us have our own uniqueness. And what I love and believe is that God sees me as uniquely me. He reaches out. He knows me personally. He identifies me because I'm different. And we probably all agree that it doesn't need to be two of me. I'm just pretty much almost too much just in this package. So we don't need two. But what's cool is we all are unique. You have your special little deficiencies and deformities. Maybe your stem is curled. Maybe you've got a dent in your skin of your apple, or who you are. Maybe you've got a little scar here or there, or maybe a little personality quirk. Maybe you're quirky. I think I'm quirky. Try not to be wacky, but a little quirky. But, in that process, I think about the apples. You're that unique person too, and special. So when you bite into that apple, it's juicy and yummy and tastes so good. And that's just how we are. We all have these special gifts to come together. I'm just going to throw out a couple of mine. Some of my deficiencies and deformities, I'm hot-tempered, I'm a perfectionist, I'm short-waisted, I always have to watch my weight, which has been a gift and surprise. But I have a lot of deficiencies and deformities too. I don't always say people's names perfectly. I have a lot of deficiencies and deformities, but I have gifts. One of them is I never meet a stranger. I am interested in everyone. When I meet somebody, I get this curious. I'm a little curious. Tell me more about you. I want to know you better. Those kind of things. I get really curious about people. That's one of my gifts. I think we all can do that, but I know it's one of my special gifts. Another one of my gifts is I have no problem talking. You all know that. Another one of my gifts is hospitality. I love bringing people together. What's nice is I'm married to somebody that has a servant's heart. So I bring the people together and then he serves them. He makes sure that they're comfy and that they've got the right temperature and the right amount of water or liquid or food. That's his gift. So it's a great mix. By the way, we've been married almost 56 years. So over a period of time, I'm going to watch the time here in the last 10, 15 minutes. Things have happened. It's not all perfect. It really isn't. I got married when I was 19 to this wonderful man. You imagine 56 years, we've had our ins and outs, ups and downs, happy times, sad times. It happens in every family. It happens with every human being. If we're human, that's going to happen. But I love being part of something, part of community. And Dale and I were the beginning of our own community. That's my husband, Dale. Because we had our children and now we have our grandchildren. So we have that community that we cherish. But there's been ups and downs. And when you're raising kids, oh my goodness, that's a challenge in itself. And we've had ups and downs in finances. And sometimes it's really discouraging, really scary. But somehow, because God's my daddy, this joy can come back. It's not killed. It's never dead. My hope is never dead. My joy is never dead. Sometimes it gets knocked down, bruised a little bit. And I tell people, I'm just like that toy. Our kids used to have this clown toy. It was made out of plastic, but it had sand in its bottom. It was a punching bag. And they would punch that clown. Every once in a while, I'd hit it. And it would bounce back up. Well, things come into my life that are tough. But somehow, because I have my faith in God, my daddy, and how he's made me strong inside, I bounce back up. So that's how I keep my cup overflowing. I know if I'm bounced up and I'm this way, I can help other people. When I'm laying flat, I'm not any good to any of you, to anybody, and definitely not good for myself. So if I can remember when I'm down, I'm not going to stay here long. I'm going to eat my veggies, get myself healthier, be active, bring people into my life, and stay positive. And Jim Rohn talks about the fact that we are the makeup of the 5 people we hang out with. And I think that's important to pay attention to even right here. Because over the years, I worked at Disney. I had contracts with some Fortune 500 companies, and then I switched and stepped into school, teaching school. And many of you know that I made that switch because my husband had stage 4 melanoma, which we didn't think he'd live then. And that was in 86. And so I stepped into teaching. And so in January of 87, I became a teacher. I had opportunity came my way for me to teach and be proctored while I got my teaching credential. Because I didn't know what we were going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do. If he died and I wouldn't have insurance, I had a daughter to finish raising and those kind of things. So that was a scary time, you guys, really scary. And this is a man that's the love of my life. It's been my best friend. And I was maybe going to lose him. But he was saved, God saved him, and we bounced back. But I'm now already moved into teaching. So my lane hadn't changed, but my audience had. I was still getting to inspire people, train them, teach them, just in a different category. I always said, I don't care if I'm inspiring in a boardroom or a classroom. I'm happy camper, as long as I can see people being inspired. So I got back up. My clown came back up, and I was able to move forward. And then I taught far longer than I thought I would. I kept some of my contracts with Disney because, believe me, that was a great opportunity as well as a lot of fun. And I kept doing that. And other things came into my life that I took on that I loved doing. I kept always feeling my passion. A lot of it's always around beauty and creating things. I'm always around anything that's creating. Anyway, that was another time I bounced up. And then we've had other things that have happened, and you have to allow yourself to bounce up. And you know how I get to bounce up? First of all, it's my faith. Another thing is it's my joy. But even beyond that is I get to be making a difference in other people's lives. If I can do that, it's worth bouncing back up. Get through those tough times. Sometimes I have to ignore them a little, kind of set the intention. I'm not going to look at you right now. I'm going to look here. And then eventually it goes away. I don't know if that works for you, if you want to try that, but that's what I have found works for me. And then, I came along and left teaching, and then I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. A lot of people wanted me to kind of just sit down and join into some of the things going like women's club or playing bridge and that kind of thing, which is nothing wrong with that. And I may still do some of those things in my life. I just still felt I had something to contribute. And then I had the opportunity to write a book, was asked to write a book. I wrote that book. And then the next thing, I had an opportunity to do a radio show, which is what we're doing now. And I've been doing this radio show for over 3.5 years, and we're right at 150 shows. And that's thanks to Raven. Raven Glover now was Davis Glover. Anyway, to her training me and teaching me and taking me under her wing and encouraged me and supporting me along the way. So the radio show, but the radio show wasn't all I did. You know, I then came up with more books. Susie Oxton helped me with my next 3 books, helped those become also #1 bestsellers and now award-winning books. Did I have any intention for that? No. To tell you the truth, I didn't have a book in me. I didn't know I was going to be writing a book. But I had the intention to inspire others, to make a difference in the lives of others. And the books support that. The radio show supports that. I've had awesome people on this show, as you know. And they're all archived, by the way, on my website, claudiacooley.com/radio-show. And you can go in and just scroll down through all of the shows. You can listen to the ones that might interest you, or poke in and see if that one's good for you, then pop out or go back and hear the whole thing. But I write an article about each of them so that you can have an idea what their story is. But these people said yes because they so aligned with my mission to help other people. We want to reach back and help other people miss the potholes and get around those detours so they can be successful in their lives. And you know, I'm not just about being successful financially. I'm about creating success in your mind, in your health, in your spiritual walk, in your, as we say, mind, body, soul, that area, in your finances. I want you to be successful there because that takes a lot of burden off. And when you're financially successful, you can contribute to others. And then relationships. Relationships are the most powerful. So it's taking care of your health, which puts you in line to take care of your finances and your relationships. Without your health, you're not going to have that. And here I am, almost 75, pushing up to 75, and I really am extremely healthy and energized and have vitality. And that comes from my mission is to help other people. I know that that is like my vitamin pill. It is truly like my vitamin pill, knowing that I am on a mission to help other people. And I get to bring these people onto the radio show. And in my first book, I interviewed 12 amazing men across America to inspire men on their journey. So I get to get exposed and bring these people to you that can make an amazing difference in your life. But what I love is they buy into my philosophy and they come this way. They're so willing to say, I've never had anybody say no to being on my radio show. So for that, I'm extremely grateful. But I'm really grateful for all of you. And we're coming down to the last few minutes here. And I just want you to know that doing the show with you or doing workshops with you or being where I'm speaking and I get to talk with you, or we're friends already, beyond all of this, we have those relationships. The groups that I've been invited to be community with, I'm grateful for all of that. And I thank you for inviting me. And I hope you'll keep doing that. Keep inviting me to come and experience your tribe, your community, your peeps. And give me the opportunity to be in that space with you and share that journey with you, because that makes me happy too. It gives me a lot of joy. I just ask you to really come to the place in your life where you're quiet and take the time, set the intention to get really connected with yourself, get peaceful with yourself, know your purpose, and then set the intention to step into your purpose. And then once you do that, I really implore you to reach out to others and share those gifts. Share that wonderful passion you have in whatever area of your life with your gifts, because they're all different than mine. You're going to talk and touch people that I can't. And just keep moving forward in that idea that you can make a difference. You are making a difference. Who you are makes a difference. Who you are in God's design makes a difference. I just want you to know that you're special to me, and thank you for letting me share this time with you today in this manner. That's what I call kind of Claudia Unplugged, sharing how we stay, keeping our cups overflowing every day, full of joy and happiness and fulfillment. And that's my heart for you, my love for you. And just keep on going, keep sharing. Thank you.